What's going on, fam? You know, history has been made multiple times in the past 5 years. We've seen the highest Social Security increase for 2023. We saw multiple stimulus checks a couple years ago. We saw businesses filing for bankruptcy, layoffs in many different markets. And of course, we cannot forget about the health crisis that financially crippled millions upon millions of people, not just in our country, but across the globe. Man, I'm not gonna miss those times, I'll tell you that. However, this is just the sad reality that we're in. Did you know we're still making history? Now, while we're probably not gonna hear about this on mainstream media, on the news, we see layoffs every day.
The tech sector shed more than 386,000 jobs in 2022 and the first half of 2023. And that number is climbing.
Google today joined a growing list of tech giants scaling back, adding to the tens of thousands of workers in the industry who find themselves unemployed.
It is Amazon doing another round of layoffs.
Mark Zuckerberg's year of efficiency back in focus this morning after another round of sweeping layoffs and job cuts.
The email that was sent out in the morning to everyone at the company basically saying, unfortunately, your role is impacted. And that's how I found out. And then they pretty much shut everything off at the end of the day.
It's a very rough day.
It never feels good to lose one's paycheck. Yellow Freight, one of the nation's largest trucking companies, plans to file for bankruptcy protection, according to the Wall Street Journal. Yellow's 22,000 union truckers and 3,000 to 4,000 non-union workers will all be out of jobs.
So think of it in this kind of setting, right? So you're getting less mileage while you spend more on gas. So there's a lot of factors that can be checked out for this one, but one of them is weight. Now, if you're driving your car and always have 4 or more people inside, chances are you're burning more gas. So then you ask yourself, well, how do I make these trips more efficient and save money? Well, you just don't give these people a ride, right? Well, those folks are the employees, and the driver, well, that's the company. So if a company wants to shed some weight and save a little bit of money as they work on making a profit, layoffs are the first go-to solution. That's just the facts. It's kind of hard to blame businesses because they need to make money, and layoffs are kind of part of this entire cycle that we're in. You know what I mean? Businesses are cutting their prices and they're not going to be able to afford to pay for all these different employees unless they want to file for bankruptcy. Now, if you ask me, we probably have to think the same way. Look, are there things that you're paying for right now that you don't need? It could be a streaming service, a subscription to stuff that you don't even watch, and anything that you pay for every single month that you're not actually using. There's probably already stuff that you can stop and cut on your budget. But do you think about this? Is it logical to, back on expenses nowadays? Or should we continue to spend like there's no tomorrow? You know where that would bring us? Well, let's talk numbers, folks. How much are Americans in debt nowadays? Well, we're setting records here. Records that, shouldn't be set in the first place. For the first time in our country's history, we've topped $1 trillion in credit card debt. Wow, right?
Credit card debt in the U.S. has reached a staggering record high, topping $1 trillion for the first time. This, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, as millions of cardholders carry balances month after month, year after year. CNBC's senior personal finance correspondent Sharon Epperson joins us now with strategies to help them pay it off. You got to pay it off. Their interest rates are so high.
You have to pay it off. But it's inflation and robust spending that's really helped push Americans' overall credit card balances past the $1 trillion mark in the second quarter. And that's according to New York Fed researchers. After a series of Fed rate hikes, interest rates, though, on credit cards have now risen to over 20% on average. And that's making it an extremely expensive way to borrow money for Americans using credit cards to cover basic household costs and many other expenses, too.
And we have so many people to thank for this great achievement. And while I could list them off one by one for you guys, you know who we have to thank for this? How do I say this? Monumental occasion in our lives? Does that sound fit? Or should we instead call it as it is and cite it as one of the biggest economic botches in modern times? You know what? That reminds me. We've had plenty of cyber attacks recently, right? I think it was just some time ago when an Oregon DMV and Louisiana OMV cyber attack leaked around 10 million driver's licenses, if I'm not mistaken. It also hit multiple US federal agencies, so yeah, it's not good news for any of us. And just recently, I hate to dampen the mood that much more, but even hospitals aren't safe from cyber attacks. Man, it's one thing to have our information leaked, but a cyber attack to literally shut down emergency rooms and divert ambulances, that's a new low. This actually happened recently in multiple states within different hospitals and clinics, with John Riggy, who serves as the advisor for cyber cybersecurity and risk for the American Hospital Association, saying that this could be treated as threat to life crimes. Do you guys agree? I mean, and do you think that our cybersecurity with our own nation, be it within the local government and, well, up to the federal government, is just lacking? I mean, it's just like they're giving away our information for free. I know they're doing that with our tax dollars, so isn't that enough? I do know something that is free. That is the truth that I give 7 days a week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a like while you're at it. Appreciate you guys. But moving on, and no, we're not straying too far away from the money here, y'all. You guys know how some apps have encrypted messaging, right? So for those of you guys who might not be aware, it's kind of like an algorithm, all right? The messages can't be read by anyone who doesn't have the authorized tool to, in a word, decrypt the message. With that out the way, Wells Fargo was among 11 financial firms who now have to pay for the $549 million fine from the SEC and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. What for? Well, some of their employees use private messaging apps like iMessage, WhatsApp, and Signal. And I know what you're probably thinking. These apps probably have encrypted messaging, right? Sure. But these banks failed to record these employees' conversations. So there's probably stuff that's going on either that's not regulated or I don't know. I mean, like, who knows what else could be going on behind the scenes? And that brings me to Walt Disney. And nope, I'm not talking about Mickey or Minnie or whatever. I'm actually talking about the gambling business. Now, I'm sorry, folks. That brought a slight chuckle to my face because who the heck thought that we would ever see Walt Disney in the gambling scene? Well, ESPN, which is owned by Walt Disney, signed a long-term exclusive agreement worth $1.5 billion over the next 10 years with Penn Entertainment, which is also a casino operator, folks. This also gives ESPN a warrant to purchase at least $500 million worth of Penn shares.
Getting into the betting game, ESPN launching a betting platform with Penn Entertainment. Now, Penn Entertainment had previously been working with Barstool Sports. They had actually purchased all of Barstool Sports over the last couple of years. Part of this deal, Penn Entertainment is divesting its ownership of Barstool Sports back to Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy. So Penn no longer owns Barstool Sports, and it is now entering an exclusive partnership with ESPN, which we know is the worldwide leader in sports, to be ESPN Bet. You can see Penn stock reacting massively to this news, up 26%. A couple highlights from the release that stuck out to me. So it's going to be a legalized ESPN Bet app in 16 states where Penn currently operates. So again, we're talking about mobile sports gambling here, and we're talking about ESPN. So the most massive part of this release to me is being ESPN's exclusive sports book and having odds attribution and promotional services on the platform. So when you think about being on ESPN and having Penn's odds be on ESPN, that means someone like Pat McAfee, that's a very popular ESPN personality, when he's building products, parlays, saying he likes XBet, he's excited to bet on this, he'll be saying he's excited to bet on that on the ESPN betting platform, and then the game will start on ESPN.
And I know this doesn't elude me. I'm not naive to think that gambling doesn't exist within sports. It's kind of like a thing that's existed before time, right? Although, what assurance do we have that, you know, some results won't be manipulated? I'm trying to be optimistic here, but, you know, if you mix gambling with anything that's competitive, I don't know, things just kind of happen. But since I've shared a lot of my thoughts today, it's time for you guys to do the same. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Now, before I go, I just want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. Appreciate the likes. Thanks for the new subscribers, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one.